Hello, guys. I'm back again. Pretty quick with another upload to this channel. I just thought it would be a good idea to check to just to get another upload in on this channel, since it's relatively simple to do something here, since I've kind of transitioned to a kind of like just audio channel, kind of like just a podcast nowadays. It's simple. I thought I would this time around, like in my last video I reviewed the new Lil Weave album, and today we're gonna be reviewing the first Lil Weave album, and it was called Hurt. It was released in 2017, I want to say 2017. I think it was early 2018. Sorry, it was early 2018. And right off the gate with the intro, it starts off with a conversation between Lil Weave and CJ Spades, and they're talking about how they should make an album. So it was a pretty cool little intro there. It has the time period and everything. So it's really cool that they kind of just they set their mind on something and they decided to do it. That's great. And then it proceeds to go to the setup, the original. I gotta be honest with you guys, this album is not that great. Like, seriously, guys, it really is not that great. There's only 10 tracks on this album, which is half than what we got in the new album. By the way, if you haven't heard my review or seen my review on my other channel, Chris Spades, go check it out right now. If you want to just hear my in-depth review, it's on this channel. If you want to hear me and see me review it, it's on my main channel. It's not that in-depth, but the one on here, if you want me to go really in-depth with the review, we'll listen to it on this channel. If not, I understand, but try to go check it out on my main channel. So, it's the first track on this song is called The Setup. The Setup is not a good song at all. There's no beats, audio super distorted, and yeah, it's just not that great. And a lot of these songs are gonna be a skip it. So, just heads up on that. This one's a skip it. Don't even bother. We'll get to a different one. We'll get to another song like this one later. And then after that, it's track 3, For My Dudes. Now, For My Dudes is a really weird song because you can't really tell what he's trying to say, because he kind of goes for my dudes and then he yells for my dudes and then he yells for my dudes and then he yells, and he does that for about, I don't, the entire song actually. He really didn't try, if we're being honest, but it is what it is on this album. And For My Dudes is number 3. Number 4 is called Hurt. That is the song that this album is named after, so it's the big song. Hurt is okay. If you're gonna waste your time and bother listening to this album, go for it and listen to Hurt. That's definitely one you have to listen to. Number 4, that's track 4. Fuck, I'm just fucking up, aren't I? That's track 4, Hurt. Give it a go. It's the reason the album's named Hurt. He's clearly hurt making this. And that's track number 4. Track number 5 is the Setup remix. Now listen, the last one, the Setup original, is horrible because there's no beat, it's distorted. But this one, it's distorted, but there's a beat. And it's actually his famous song, believe it or not. It's still not that great, but it's his famous song. Santiago from Crash Pass Boxing. He walked into this song once during his match. This was his entrance song. Actually, he didn't even walk into it once. I think he walked into it twice. So yeah. It's listen to it. If you're gonna listen to some songs on this one, I'd recommend Hurt and the Setup and Sleep, which is number 6. Now, from here on out, the quality of the songs start getting a bit better. Like Sleep is not that bad. I just wish he had said it were like a little more clear. You could tell that they weren't on a great budget for this album because the audio is distorted. It sounds worse than this. It sounds worse than me, really. But Sleep is alright. I kind of like deciphered what he was saying, and it's not that bad. It's just you can't hear him clearly, and that's the messed up part about it. Cause it's it's a good song if he had just made it clear and it got worked on a bit better. So you know what? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Number 7 is "I'll Make You Love Me." Now, there's a bit more creativity in this song because he's talking about how he wants you. He's gonna make you love him. It's not a question. He's gonna make you. Really cool um, concept, I guess, but a bit repetitive. Okay, song. These are some of the songs if you have to listen to this album, you're not gonna be wanting to blow your brains out. "I'll Make You Love Me," track 7. Track 8 is "Homies." This is his famous song. Now, in his new album, he paid homage to this "Homies" because this song called "Homies" because this was one of his better songs that are better received by the audience because it seems like he did work on it a little bit, and you could definitely tell between this one and like "For My Dudes," there's a difference between the qualities and how much he tried. So give that one a go too. Number 9 is "Pudge." Pretty good song overall. Seriously, it's not that bad. It's a really good song. Not one of his better ones. None of these songs on here are honestly greatest hits, other than maybe the Setup, "Homies," and "Being Skinny." And that's being generous. The Setup is just there because it's his classic and it was his first song. And number 10 is "Being Skinny." Now, in his new album, he pays homage to "Homies" and "Being Skinny." Of course, in the new album, it's "Homies Part 2" and it's "Still Skinny," or I mean, "I'm Still Skinny," or "Still Skinny," something like that. Now, "Being Skinny" is an okay song for what the first Lil Weave album was, honestly. But overall, man, if you have to pick an album to listen to Lil Weave, I'd go with his second album. Lil Weave's "Hurt" album is not his best work. Definitely his earlier stuff is not his better stuff. And that's really the album, man. Seriously, if I recommend you listening to any songs, go listen to the Setup, "Homies," and "Being Skinny." Hell, if you want to, listen to "Hurt," but you're not gonna get much out of anything else from this album, at least. After this, Lil Weave did go on to release a bunch of singles, which are not on his YouTube channel for some reason. So, which is a shame because you really could tell there is a difference between the quality of his singles and his album. That, like, there's a significant difference between them because in his singles you could tell they're way better, they're more like higher tier. And this whole album, really, it's a skip. Listen to his second album. It's 100,000 times better than his first album. But if I had to rate this album, 1 of 5. Again, the tier rankings are: number 1 terrible, 2 bad, 3 is okay, 4 is good, and 5 is amazing. If I had to rate this album, man, we gotta I gotta give it a 2, man. 2.5. And that's being generous, just because it was his earlier works and all of that stuff. It could, in a, I don't know, maybe in later on it'll be a 3, but as of right now, it's a 2.5. If I had to recommend anything, listen to his second album. I wish his singles were on there so you guys could understand like the significant gap between them, between his singles and his first album. He got 1,000 times better between those two, and it really shows. And if you missed it, I did give his second album a 3.5, and there's a chance that it could move up to a 4. Seriously. And yeah, that's my review on his album. And now that we have you here, I'm gonna review something else. If you haven't told, if you couldn't tell from the title of this video, I'm gonna be reviewing the first Crash event. If you don't know what Crash is, it's Crash Penitentiary, the company Crash Penitentiary. They are owners of Crash Records, which produces Lil Weave's music, and they also do Crash Palace Boxing on YouTube. And I guess Crash Palace Boxing is what really gave Lil Weave a platform to shine. And we're going to be reviewing the first ever Crash Palace event. So the first Crash Palace event took place, I want to say, it took place June 3rd, 2017. And the first event was, it only had 2 matches. It was Spades versus Padilla and Lopez versus Games. Now, just like, everybody in the beginning, they're a bit awkward, they're a bit more, like, they don't seem to know what they're doing, and you can really tell, even with Crash Palace Boxing, that they did go through that, and the fighters themselves did go through that as well, because you'll see different fighters, like, you could tell they were way sloppier, especially the ones that end up fighting later. And straight out the gate, let's start with the first match that took place that night, which was Spades versus Padillas. Now, the story behind this match is that, it's CJ Spades. He's the producer for Lil Weave's music as well. I think there's a bunch of CJ Spades. There's this rapper named CJ Spades. There's a producer named CJ Spades. There's a boxer named CJ Spades. There's me. And the boxer, on the other hand, apparently he had beef with Padilla. Or actually, they had beef, something like that, I don't know. So they went to have a match, I guess, a boxing match to settle the beef. And as I watched the match, I could definitely see the controversy and what CJ Spades was talking about. Because as I watched the match, it's definitely Spades heavy. He's definitely winning. He's putting on the pressure onto Padilla. He's getting a good amount of jabs in, and you can really tell that he's not even wanting to hurt him because there's such a size difference between them. So, and he says that multiple times during like interviews, I think. I really don't understand. I understand what he means, but I don't understand what the judging was that day as well, He said it multiple times how he's not happy with the way the outcome came out, because Padilla did get a good couple punches in, but it's, in my eyes as well, it doesn't look like it was enough to beat him. Overall, this was the first match ever to happen in Crash Palace Boxing, and the rounds, there weren't any, like, there wasn't multiple rounds. There was one round, and it was 2 minutes, It was a 2 minute round, and the winner was Padilla at the end of the day. Again, very, very controversial, very surprising, and that was the first match that happened that night. They both, you could tell that they both weren't that experienced in terms of fighting, but they didn't look terrible either way. And the headliner was Lopez versus Games. Now, IA Games and CJ Spades are now known as two of the five horsemen of Crash Pass Boxing. And you could tell that they have improved drastically since then. Straight out the gate, IA Games gets, I want to say, jabbed or punched by Lopez in the gut. And he kind of freaks out. Definitely it's not something you'd see him do nowadays, but yeah, overall this round, this again, like the rules back then were weird. It was like a wild wild west. There was no rules, no nothing, you know. So there was one round and it was 1 minute. Really ridiculous like how much they've changed since then. It goes for one round. Lopez takes the W, and you could really tell that he did win. Because Lopez did put the pressure onto him. And he was throwing the stronger punches. He was backing up IA Games, and IA Games wasn't even really trying to hit. And his dodging was all over the place. Well, actually, if I'm being honest, there's barely any dodging from either person. And he does get cornered a few times. Other than that, they don't really... Oh, and another thing to add to this match is that it wasn't even really a boxing match. They only went bodies. So that was funny. There was only 2 body matches like that in Crash. Nevertheless, Lopez takes the W, and IA Games, well, you know, he didn't look terrible, but yeah, that was basically the first event of Crash Pass Boxing. A lot of the fighters, you know, they didn't look that great. I don't know what the experience between all 4 of them were, but they all seemed very green to fighting. They all seemed very inexperienced, and it's funny because they end up getting way better. And next time I'll talk about the second event of Crash Pass Boxing. The second event of Crash is Games returns and he fights Babies in another bodies match. And Boxing Press debuts against Santiago, who also debuts. But back then he was just called Bitch. So look out for that review. Nevertheless, the first Crash event, if I had to rank it from 1 to 5, I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to give it a 3 just because it was the first event. It's very grimy, very raw, very different from how they are now. They seem to have gone more like, I don't want to say professional because they still don't feel that professional, but it's definitely gotten better. It feels more corporate-y now, you know? It definitely feels like they're more of a promotion now than just raw fighting, you know? And every now and then, certain times, I'll like raw fighting like that, but in this case, I don't really like it. I mean, in this case, I like it. You know, and it's also a treat to see how a young CJ Spades and a young IA Games look before they get all, uh, before they get more violent, before they get more, you know, better in their fighting. And in the next event, we also see two more horsemen debut. Like I said, Prez and Bitch or Santiago. So it'll be interesting to try to dissect them as well and see theirs like fighting as well. So that's how that event was. It was a good event, a very fun event. So, well, that's all really to say about that, other than uh, a very, very strange event. But nevertheless, there was controversy and there was weirdness, and that's basically summarizes the first. Oh, there was controversy, weirdness, beef, and that basically summarizes up the event. It's on their YouTube channel. You gotta kind of go all the way to the bottom and look for yourself. If you want to see what the whole hubba is about against judging for Spades and Padilla, check it out yourself and let them know who you think won. And if you want to see one of two of the Only Bodies matches that happened on Crash, it's there too. Both the body matches are there, but you know what I mean. IA Games' debut. This was before he started grunting every time he threw a punch, but very funny to see how far they came since then. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in for my review of Lil Weave's Hurt album and Crash Boxing's first event. Please like this video, subscribe, and comment what you want to see me review next. And I'm not against reviewing like almost anything. Just let me know in the comments section. I'll review movies, video games. I'm thinking about reviewing a few movies and a few video games. I don't know if I will do a video for this on my main channel, but this is definitely going to be up before then if I do it, because this is recorded the same day as I recorded the Death Ain't in Sight review. So basically what I'm trying to say is I recorded this only like 5 hours after that. So I'm kind of losing my voice here. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.